everybody. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. Hopefully you can hear me this time. We're trying this again. Again, my name is Christian Barnes. I am the founder and lead financial coach of Do Better Financial, and I would like to wish you all a Happy New Year. Yes, I am aware that it is May. No, I have not lost my mind, but Happy New Year nonetheless. Yay, we have sound. April was the month that felt like a decade, and it has mercifully ended. But as May has dawned upon us, we are still in a state of flux. I know a lot of people have put a lot of plans on hold, kind of waiting for 2020 to get back to normal. I know we definitely did. We started January displaced from our home. We spent the month of February trying to put that home back together. And then about a week into March, the coronavirus hit. So we've been in a state of flux and nomads for the first 4 months of 2020. And so I have declared that May is new January. It's the new January of 2020 because I am tired of waiting for things to go back to normal, okay? So what does that mean, new January? Normally people, they make resolutions and they set goals and intentions and all that kind of stuff for New Year. But I normally did not do that kind of stuff. I'm a big scaredy cat. I am afraid of failing. I hate to have a goal, have an intention, have something I'm supposed to do and fail at it. So instead of making a goal and trying, I would just not make a goal. But I would also typically not try. Here's the thing, that didn't actually make me feel less like a failure. I still felt like a failure, just like I was failing at different things. Failing at reaching my potential, or to hold up my end of the bargain, or to grow and prosper like my peers, failing to live up to my parents' expectations. They never say that. That's all inside of me. I'm in therapy. You should try it. However, it's time out for that. If I'm going to feel lousy, I could at least try. That's what I'm thinking. If my brain frequently tells me that I'm lousy for doing nothing, I might as well be doing something. Because when I'm doing something, at least something got done. That sounds silly, but that's how I feel inside, okay? So, with that in mind, we actually recently, our young adult group and some others went through the Chasing Failure devotional in the YouVersion app, and he said something that really kind of stuck with me. Even if I fail, at least I tried. Now that may not mean much to you, but for me it was very impactful, because what I heard was you haven't tried, so you haven't failed yet. What you have done so far is be a bump on a log. You've been stagnant. So this month I am trying 3 new, and I said scary because that's how I feel about some of them, things. So new January, these are the 3 things I am trying. I am creating my own personal finance course. Yes, I am working on that. I actually started working on that last October. Now I'm actually going to finish it. I'm going to start filming videos for a new project. Stay tuned for that. It is coming soon. You do not want to miss this. And I'm participating in a daily worship challenge, which is really simple. The goal is simply to spend some time every day thanking God and not asking Him for anything. So these are very specific to me, obviously, but you can get in on this too, okay? You just have to choose 3 things, just 3. You can choose less than 3. I would not be mad at you, but I chose 3. No more than 3. The more things you choose, you're shooting at everything and you're hitting nothing. And I literally looked away from the camera so that you could get the effect. You're all, helter-skelter, squirrel, right? Easily distracted. So if you want to join me for New January, I am hosting what's called the New January Challenge, all right? So the 3 things that you choose can be as simple as get dressed every day. I actually put on my jeans for y'all. You can't see them, but know I have them on. Maybe you want to eat more meals than snacks. Not gonna lie, I have been tearing up some cheese sticks, okay? Or maybe you want to yell at the kids a bit less. right? I mean, they're kids and they're trapped in a house. They're gonna get into stuff, but you don't always have to be mad about it, right? So the point of this exercise is consistency. It's about doing something every day towards the goals that you have. I am borrowing some of these ideas from John Acuff. He had a challenge which I participated in last September called the September January Challenge, which is similar to this one in the fact that you just get to start the year over right in the middle because numbers and dates are arbitrary, okay? So the idea is that you're just going to be consistent. You're going to do something regularly, and at the end of 30 days, you will have some sort of product. What is it? Depends on the thing that you chose to do. But the point of this is not perfection or obsession. It is consistency. It doesn't matter if it's not good enough. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect. It doesn't matter, like, none of that stuff matters. It doesn't have to be like anybody else's or as good as anybody else's. I'm going to tell you what my coach Angel Santos told me once. Done is perfect. Now, this does not apply to everybody, but for me, and possibly some of you, if you are a perfectionist, you can sometimes nitpick your idea, your work, your whatever to death because it is not what you deem to be perfect. Now, that's not saying that we don't strive for some sort of excellence, but it just means that we don't stop because it's not perfect. And we also we have to find a stopping point between done and perfect, right? So no, do we throw cereal at a poster board and turn it as our science project? Probably not. Do we need to figure out how to do nuclear fission before we can turn in our science project? Also probably not, right? So just kind of remember that mantra. We're not trying to be perfect. We're not going to be obsessive. We're trying to be consistent. So how does this work? The official start date of the challenge is May the 10th. Christian, that's not the beginning of the month. I know. It don't matter. Because dates and days are arbitrary. So the start of this is May the 10th. But there's no harm in getting a head start. Obviously, I know Mother's Day is coming up. If you're going to be doing something special and you won't have time to work on your 3 things all that day, front load a little bit. I know I've already started. There's nothing wrong with that. But the cool thing is, even if you start a couple days late, your day 1 can be whenever you start. You just go 30 days from there, okay? You can download a calendar at the link below to track your progress. So it's a simple calendar. You're going to write your 3 things at the top, and each day there's 3 little spaces for you to write in what it is that you did towards those goals. So if my goal is to wear less active wear or get out of my pajamas every day, maybe the first day is I put on a real shirt, right? But for my goal, I'm obviously trying to create a course. I actually have another challenge that I'm following, and each day I have an assignment. So my goal is to complete my daily assignments, right? That's the general gist of it. There's going to be 2. When you go and download your calendar, there are actually going to be 2 calendars in the file. The first one is what I call the aesthetically most pleasing one. I call it the pretty one. And then there's actually going to be one that's more printer friendly. I just got through shopping for printers. Ink is expensive, so I thought about that. The Lord actually brought me that in the shower, and he was like, somebody not going to want to print out a whole green page worth of paper. You should do something that requires less ink. So that's what I did. So there's going to be 2 of those in there. And you can also join the New January Challenge Facebook group. Now, why do you think you might want to be part of a Facebook group when you're trying a bunch of new stuff? It's all about community, right? And accountability. I'm kind of a dig my heels in kind of girl. We don't want no new way. If you'll remember from last week, you should also go watch the video on YouTube. My husband did a really great little edit there. That's fun. I also see a lot of people preparing to try new things on my Facebook feed, like plant-based diets, start businesses, write books, get more physically active. And there's power in community, and I want us to harness that power to push past our fears. So if you're ready to join me, you're going to do 2 things. First of all, you're going to go to dobetterfinancial.com/new January. And you're going to type in your email and you're going to get your calendars emailed directly to you. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to join the New January Facebook group. It is connected to the Do Better Financial Facebook page, but it's also in the description below. And it's a Facebook group, New January Challenge. That's all you have to type in. So once you join us, you're going to pick your 3 things. I'm going to ask you to post them, share them if you will. If you don't want to share specifics because it's something personal, that's okay. You can share something general, but allow us to help you stay accountable and stay on track. I think this is going to be an awesome journey for all of us. Again, we're going to start as a group on May 10th, but if you get started earlier or if you jump in a little bit late, no worries. Just start on day 1 and push on through, okay? The goal here is to see change as our chance to do better, okay? We're not trying to be perfect. We're trying to do better. It's why I named my company Do Better Financial, because perfect is not a thing. Better is, okay? So, why am I doing this as a financial coach? What does this have to do with finances? Depending on your 3 things, obviously, it could be very specifically applicable to your finances, right? If you're starting a new business, that has to do with finances. If you're trying to get a budget together, save more money or whatever, those things could be specific to finances. But what I know is that each and every one of those facets of our life affects our finances, right? Our money is a reflection of what we have going on inside. And if you're somebody like me and you're a lot of times living in fear, then you might be clinging to your money for dear life, right? If you're somebody who is miserable in what it is that you do every day, you might be spending money like crazy trying to soothe that pain. And so while I, as a financial coach, might be able to come in and give you a set of tools that you can utilize to improve your money management skills, if you have, this nagging other thing that you want to do or that you haven't done, on the other side, the tools are probably not going to be terribly useful. So what I hope to do with this challenge is equip people to try new things regularly, like budgeting, if you're inclined, and also to have the camaraderie, because that's the right word, the camaraderie of a group, that encouragement that you need to keep pushing forward even when things get hard. So, if you want to join the New January Challenge, you're going to go to dobetterfinancial.com/New January. You're going to download your calendar. You're going to get an email with your calendar, and there's also going to be a link in that email and in the description below where you can join the Facebook group. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're asking you to post the 3 things that you're going to focus on this month, and you're just going to catalog them on your personal calendar. If you ever need help, if you ever have questions, you want to celebrate, you want to lament a little, you can talk about it in the group so that we can support each other and encourage each other, okay? All right. The last part of today's video is going to be about the stimulus package. The updates are going to be, I'm sure you've noticed, they've been getting shorter over the last few weeks, and that's because not a lot of overarching changes have been made to these to the act and to the packages that have been passed. There have been a lot of discussions about what the next package is going to look like, but there is no real legislation prepared to be passed as of yet. They have a few things that have been proposed, different types of stimulus packages and tax cuts and infrastructure packages and all kinds of stuff. Some stuff that probably would be amazing, some stuff that's probably not going to work, some stuff that seems expensive, some stuff that seems like, I don't know who that's supposed to help, that sounds like $5. As soon as we have more information about what those packages will actually look like, I'm going to go over them in depth. But right now I'm just going to go over some of the updates on the stuff we've been discussing. So, there are still PPP funds available. I'm shocked. I'm honestly shocked. I thought they would be gone in 5 minutes, but it seems that the combination of the Treasury kind of clamping down on who's actually allowed to apply for these, which we'll get to in a minute, and also the system issues with the SBA, Small Business Administration, have made things kind of trickle slowly. So there are funds still available. If you haven't applied yet, your best bet is probably something like a PayPal, QuickBook Intuit, if you're familiar, it's a accounting software for businesses. That's probably your best bet. They've been seeming to give people their money a lot faster than large banks. On that note, I believe it is Wells Fargo that's being sued behind this by somebody else. There was already a class action suit against them, and I think there's another suit now. So big banks is not the way to go. Just make sure you only sign up for one loan, even if you've put in applications in multiple places. If you don't sign the dotted line on more than one loan, that will get you in trouble. Okay. So for those companies, we talked a little bit before about like the Ruth's Chris and the Shake Shacks that took PPP funds and pretty much and really should not have. They now have until May 14th to return those funds without penalty or any kind of other investigation. This includes those public companies that I just mentioned, and also private companies that have adequate liquidity to support ongoing operations. What does adequate mean? We don't know. This is a trend with the PPP program. It's unclear exactly what adequate means, but if you are concerned, you small business owner can return the money, right? So let me give you an example. I've seen some questions from different business owners about things like, hey, I have savings. Am I expected to pay my employees out of savings before I apply for PPP? From what I understood, that wasn't the original intent, but based on what they've been talking about because of people like Ruth's Chris and Shake Shack, it's gray. And so those types of things could make it difficult to determine if you are in fact someone that they intended to have this loan or not. If you literally have no money to your name and you've spent every dime you had, you should be pretty free and clear. If you're somebody who still has savings, but you took out the PPP loan to continue paying your employees for a reasonable amount of time, I'm not sure what they're going to say. I would think that would be okay, but I am not a tax person. I am not an accountant, and I definitely don't work for the Treasury. So keep your eyes open if you're concerned about whether or not you should have taken out that loan and if you're going to need to return that money. If you do return it, you can opt for things like the payroll tax credit. That's something that most businesses are eligible to take advantage of if they don't get a PPP loan. You can't do both of those things. But if you decide, hey, PPP is not for me, I haven't gotten it yet, you can, even if they offer you one, you could turn it down, just stick with the payroll tax credit and go on about your business. Payroll tax credit, from what I've read about it, again, it's another one of those very sticky and confusing pieces of legislation, at least to me, not an accountant. But it seems to be a very good option as far as deferring your tax payments and allowing, they basically, what it sounds like is they give you, how do I put this? You know what? I'm not going to put it like that. I'm going to put in the comments a link to exactly how it works because I don't want to mess this up. But just know that it allows you to defer some of the taxes that you would owe on your employees. I believe it's Social Security taxes specifically. Okay. Next, there is a rule change by the Treasury to allow restaurants that took out PPP loans to still get full forgiveness, even if their employees decline to return to work. So a few people have posted this on Facebook. There are restaurants that have gotten their PPP loans. They call their employees up and are like, hey, can you come back to work? You can come back to work, or I can pay you again. Go ahead and here we go. And they would make less going back to work than they do on unemployment. So they declined to go back to work. And so a lot of restaurateurs were concerned that they would be penalized and not be allowed to get their loans forgiven because the people that they had originally had, their original employees would not return to work. And because there's an 8-week time limit on it, they were concerned they wouldn't have time enough to interview and hire people to replace them. So the Treasury has actually passed a rule that will allow them not to worry about that. The instructions are that they have to issue their offer in writing, and then they have to document that it was declined by the employee. Here's the kicker. If your employer tells the state that you declined to go back to work, it could cut off your unemployment benefits. And it actually could set off some other issues for you on the state side, okay? So, two sides of this. Your employer obviously has to report it. They have to report it in order for you to get in trouble, for an employee to get in trouble. But if they don't report it, they could end up owing money on the other side if they got a PPP loan. So you've basically got employees and employers at odds. I would like to remind everybody that the reason a lot of people would not go back to work is because they're making more on unemployment than they would while at their job, right? And that's because of the federal unemployment boost that we've got, that extra $600 a week, which has caused some people to make more than they previously did. That ends on July 31st, right? That $600 goes away on July 31st. Now, there have been some discussions about whether or not they should phase that out instead of just cutting it off cold turkey. Yet to be determined. However, if you are an employee that has been offered your job back and your employer reports that you were offered your job back to the state that you live in. I live in the state of Texas, so I'm going to say the state of Texas. You could lose your unemployment benefits. You probably can't go back to that job. And now you also have issues with the state where they're probably going to try to get some of the money that they already paid you back. Okay? So if you get your job off, if you get offered your job back, you need to take it. You need to take it. Really, you do. Or be prepared to get cut off and have another job lined up. Those are your choices. All right. Last but not least, if you received a stimulus check for someone who is deceased or incarcerated, the IRS wants you to return it. They give you some options on the methods you can use to return it. Those are in the description below. But there doesn't actually seem to be any recourse that the IRS can take against you if you've already cashed/spent this check. It's better to be safe than sorry. Just like PPP, they can backdoor and change stuff. But right now, based on the way that the legislation is written, they would not be able to recoup a deceased person's or an incarcerated person's check from you. If you were married filing jointly when your spouse is incarcerated, then they would only need you to send back the half that was for that person. Same thing if your spouse is now deceased. Now, this only counts if your spouse was deceased before 2020, okay? Or incarcerated before 2020. If somebody passed away from, obviously the coronavirus would be one of the things, but anything after 2020, you should still be okay from what I understand. But again, the IRS doesn't seem to be able to do anything either way. So take that as you will. If it were me, I'd be sending it back because I am a strict rule follower. But you do you. And if you come across trouble, just let me know what it is so I can share with others. Okay? So thank you so much for joining me today. That is another Weekonomy Wednesday for you. If you are interested in joining the new January challenge so that we can approach change as our chance to do something better, you can go to dobetterfinancial.com/New January. And if you want to join the Facebook group, just search for New January Challenge. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.